What a main event, what a ladder match here at Turning Point. The title still hangs in the balance. Something's got to give.
After the titles have been elevated even higher, you need a ladder of this size to take it down.
Look at this now. Here comes
Harris. It's not done yet.
What a battle here. What a battle.
I don't know where these two continue to fight it. Trading on top of the ladder.
Watch out. Oh, God.
Both men landing on that ladder like a platform. Both men trying to get back up.
Oh. Oh, my God. This is so dangerous. Holy crap. Gotta be freaking kidding me.
Big time twist of fate on the ladder. Aries falls to the outside again, and listen to the impact zone coming on.
Here goes the champ.
The people can sense it. The creatures of the night.
He's way up there.
One did it. He did it.
Your winner and still World Heavyweight Champion, Jeff Hardy.
What a battle. What a physical, intense battle for the World Heavyweight Championship. In a violent, dreadful ladder match.
It was an incredible spectacle that we have witnessed tonight at Turning Point. Two men putting their careers on the line because of the importance of the World Heavyweight Championship, and Jeff Hardy prevails.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon.
Sit down, shut up, and listen up.
I reached the turning point in my life.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB. Little Tyrone Davis coming out of the break. Had to have a little fun with the Turning Point. As you heard at the end of that's the end of the pay-per-view there. Jeff Hardy beating Austin Aries, climbing the ladder in just over 21 minutes and retaining the TNA Heavyweight Championship. That was one of the few I got right. I did a little bit better than 50-50 on it. Here are the rest of the matches from Turning Point real quick. Samoa Joe beating Magnus in 12 and a half minutes to retain the TV title. Eric Young and ODB, their little comedy tag match, they beat Tara and Jesse. Got that one right. Thought Joey Ryan might have taken the X Division title from Rob Van Dam, but that did not happen. RVD pinning Joey Ryan to retain the X Division championship. Also, the DOC pinning Joseph Park in 9:45. Of course, we know him better as, previously as Luke Gallows from WWE. Now that he's part of the Aces and Eights faction. Of course, a new name, the Director of Chaos. Hernandez and Chavo Guerrero beating Daniels and Kazarian to retain the TNA tag titles. I had a hunch that they'd kind of keep them on there. I don't know why. It's just one of those hunches. James Storm, he is the #1 contender to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, pinning AJ Styles in that three-way match with Bobby Roode. Or at least until this past Thursday he was. More on that in a minute. And Kurt Angle beating Devon by submission. Didn't get the three-way match or the Kurt Angle-Devon match right. So 5-3 for the pay-per-view, 90-51 for the calendar year 2012. May have to rename it at this point because I'm certainly getting more of these right than wrong. But there's still certainly time for a losing streak, and that can start tomorrow with Survivor Series. Oh, wow. But yes, I mentioned that James Storm was the #1 contender. In case you missed Impact this past Thursday, James Storm kind of getting goaded into putting his title shot on the line against Bobby Roode after a few personal comments about Roode's daughter, and that's pretty much all I can say about that, at least here on this show. Don't want to get in trouble with the bosses. But either way, Storm putting a title shot on the line, and then later that night, thanks to an exposed turnbuckle, Bobby Roode beating James Storm to become number one contender for the TNA Championship. And I would imagine that's coming up in the next couple weeks, although knowing TNA the way that I do, I have a hunch that they'll probably put it on as some sort of an Impact special, either on a Thursday or something like that. Some other news. We'll get back to the phones in just a second. WWE confirming that Cody Rhodes suffered a concussion and a strained shoulder during the tag match that aired on this past Wednesday's main event TV show. WWE playing up the possibility that Rhodes may not be able to take part in the Survivor Series elimination match that's going to go on tomorrow. Meanwhile, former WWE wrestler and older brother of Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, you might know him better as Goldust, noted on Twitter that Cody would be undergoing an MRI on Thursday. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the phones. Let's take up line 3 and Dan, who's been hanging on for a while. Dan from Chicago. What's going on, Dan?
How you doing this week?
Little tired, a little groggy, but otherwise not too bad. What's going on?
Oh, not a thing, actually.
Not a whole lot, yeah. Just calling up to say hey, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Happy Thanksgiving and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, see, that shows you where I'm lost on the time. Thanksgiving's this Thursday, and I'm just la-da-da, just completely not not paying attention to it, apparently. Well, let me get through Survivor Series first, I guess.
This year, so that's part of the reason. But let's get to wrestling. Everyone's sort of like, up in arms on this whole situation with CM Punk. And we scream for Attitude Era. We're screaming for it. And that's where they were going Monday, and now that we get a little bit of it, people are up in arms. I was more disturbed with them showing the footage of them giving the CPR to Lawler, and Lawler passing out on the commentary. I couldn't believe that they pushed that envelope, but yet nobody's talking about that. They're talking about what CM Punk and Paul Heyman did.
And that's a very valid point. The fact that while Jerry Lawler was being tended to medically, somebody had the bright idea to keep the cameras rolling. I think that is rather disturbing in all this, even more so than any mockery or anything like that. It's like there are just some things that you don't put the cameras on, where you turn the cameras and the microphone off for, and you would think that something like that would be that. And it kind of makes you wonder, did WWE have the cameras rolling when they were tending to Owen Hart back at Over the Edge in May of '99? I mean, would somebody have done that? I mean, is that something that WWE has, or would they even at this point be willing to admit that they have something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. And then years back, like I mentioned on the group page, it was in '98, not '97. I looked into it a little bit more on
all right. Let's not get into name calling. That's not entirely necessary. I mean, you know what? There have been times where I've certainly gotten my facts wrong, and or I've misspoken on a fact or something like that, or as Roger Clemens says, I've misremembered something. So I mean, we all make mistakes. Let's not let's not hard. Do we have to quibble over little things like that?
No. It was my bad. I thought it was in '97 where Flair had that incident with a heart issue, but it was in '98. I guess it was like before Starrcade when he was going to face Bischoff or something.
Well,
and he went nuts, and they did that thing, and nobody was up in arms on that.
Well, I think it wasn't playing, if let's say another wrestler or something had a heart attack 2 weeks before or 2 months before, then I think there might have been, and it was directly making fun of that issue. I think that's the difference in this regard, is that an actual human life was, was involved in this particular case.
And I understand that, but here's the deal. Like I put on the group page, they obviously all had a meeting about this in the back. They obviously all sat down and talked about this. And, hey, do you have an issue with this? I feel bad about what happened, but I think we should push the envelope a little bit. I'm sure if Jerry the King Lawler said, no way, we're not doing this, I'm sure Vince McMahon would have been like, okay, because Vince was out, from what I hear, was with Lawler throughout the whole situation. So I'm sure the King approved it, and let's roll with it, and they did. And now there's an issue.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of one of those, just because somebody says it's okay doesn't necessarily mean that it's right. And I think that's the argument that those on the other side of the coin are trying to make. I'm just, I'm looking at it from both sides because that's what I do as a broadcast journalist.
Right.
I provide independent analysis that kind of, brings all perspectives to the table.
Right. But I knew you knew that they were going to do something. You just knew it.
Oh, yeah. And as soon as Punk's music hit, it was like, all right, how far are they going to take this? That was kind of the big question at that point.
Like I said, I'm sure you don't say you didn't. I'm sure in some capacity you giggled in that segment because I did. I thought it was a little bit comical because they went too far. And
the thing that I giggled at was, and honestly, it was more of what Punk said of, don't croak before the pay-per-view. I thought, all right, that was worth a little bit of a chuckle. I thought maybe Heyman doing the over-the-top acts was a bit much, and something that the crowd probably didn't see that you saw on television and even heard in the clip here. You could hear Heyman counting down before popping up as if he was okay. That was something that the crowd didn't get, and all right, that I don't know about a chuckle, but it got a ha out of me. Like, okay, I see what they did there. But other than that, I don't know.
You don't think if the Generation X were at their high point, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and this happened during that time frame,
like 97, early 98, you don't think that they would have done something like that?
I mean, come on. Look what the NWO did when Kevin Nash came out with the beer belly and the bald head, trying to imitate Arn Anderson.
Yeah, I know. Giving you my spot, not dog spot, not liver spot, not bald. Yeah, I know. I remember it well. And there have been many tasteless things in wrestling. We could probably do 2 whole shows on the various tasteless things that have gone on over the course.
But this is getting the attention. This is what's getting me mad. Because of what CM Punk and Paul Heyman did, this is getting the attention. I maybe, people are going to say maybe because I'm from Chicago, and, I'm loyal. I love CM Punk like no tomorrow. I respect the heck out of the guy, and that's why I'm so anti on anything I love anything the guy does. Maybe that's part of it, but
I think you do have a fair assessment that the focus should be on why WWE is showing footage of resuscitating Jerry Lawler's life. That I think, there's a lot of validity to that, and I got to get rolling. Thanks so much, as always, for the call, Dan. Appreciate it. Definitely. It's a touchy subject, obviously, and it's brought people from both sides of the coin to say the least. Just a little bit of a programming note. We're going to be signing off around 12:45 or 12:50. We've got high school football action going on. We've got Florence and Keyport here on WBCB, and then on WBCB1490.com we've got Manasquan and Nottingham, and then over on our sister station 107.7 Notre Dame and Bergen Catholic. So a high school football playoff triple header here on the WBCB Sports Networks. So lot going on, and certainly a lot going on here in wrestling as well. We'll take what do you think? Take a quick time out here, Denny? Okay, take care of a couple of last-minute bills here, and we'll be back. I've got Today in Wrestling History. I've got the Survivor Series predictions certain to go wrong. A couple more other tidbits and news. First, let me tell you about something coming up from our good friends. We love doing the lottery promotions here. It's something I'm very involved with here at WBCB. And let me tell you, spreading holiday cheer in an instant has never been easier. Thanks to the new instant game from the Pennsylvania Lottery, Frosty Cash. It makes a great gift, and playing benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. Remember, you must be 18 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. And as I'm sure you know, but just in case you don't, the Pennsylvania Lottery supports senior citizens and hot meal programs for older residents in Bucks County every day. They do great stuff over at the Pennsylvania Lottery. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.